My people, I hope that after you try this remedy, you will be saying goodbye to over-the-counter cough syrups just like we did. This natural homemade cough syrup is very easy to make, and guess what? You will be needing only 2 ingredients: onions and sugar. Very easy to make. Now, what I'm going to do is slice the onions, of course. But before that, let me give you a very quick tip on how to smoothly peel your onions. You know, especially those times where you have all those very dried, flaky onion skin, right? All you need to do is soak your onions for a few minutes, or rather a few seconds. Say 60 seconds, which is like 1 minute, in warm water. And voila, you just peel it just the way you see me peel it. The skin comes off very easy. Anyway, that's by the way. So what I am doing now is I am slicing the onions in ring forms like this. However, you can choose to slice your onions in whatever shape you want, as long as it is nicely sliced. What I am doing is separating the rings, or separating the onions, and then on to the next step. Now that I have separated the onions to my satisfaction, the next step is getting a glass jar. I prefer using a glass jar because, you know, you don't have the onion smell stuck to the glass jar, and then you easily find glass jars that are airtight or, you know, nicely air sealed. So when you cover it, it's airtight, if you know what I mean. What I am doing is layering with sugar first in the jar, and then onions. So this is how I'm going to keep going. Onions, sugar, sugar, onions, you know, just keep sprinkling as much sugar as you can sprinkle, or rather add sugar as much as you can add in the onions, and then put the onions. That's how you just keep going. So this is basically what's going to happen. For measurements, I honestly do not have a measurement. I literally estimate. You see what I did there? So I use my eyes to gauge the measurements or the proportion. But you just want to be sure that it's not too much sugar or too much onions. So to say, you want to find a balance, you know. So this is what I'll just keep doing. You layer with sugar and then onions, sugar, onions. So you basically just keep layering, and that's how you achieve this. Now, just a very little background history. So to say, we all know how important onions is. It's one of the very powerful, reachable herb or medicinal herb that we have lying around, especially when it comes to cold or flus, right? I mean, when you have a stuffy nose, or when you have or when your baby has a full nose or a stuffy nose, you hear things like, oh, you should slice an onions and put just above the head of your baby, or close to your baby, or in your baby's crib, or close to your bed. This is how powerful onions is. And you know what? This onions sugar remedy has always existed over 100 years ago. As a matter of fact, the first time I got to know about this remedy was on a German forum, where mothers were sharing how this used to be an ancient remedy for cough and all, and you know, and people were really testifying how they grew into it. I mean, mothers now were saying how their mothers then used it on them, and I'm like, man, I have to try this. And guys, this has worked like magic. Literally, we haven't used our money to buy cough syrup for over 3 years and still counting, and I am not exaggerating. And now look at this. It is nicely closed in an airtight jar. This jar is airtight. I am now going to let this sit outside the fridge on the countertop for at least 2 hours. So I'm just going to let this sit here for over 2 hours. And after about 2 to 3 hours, I move it to the fridge and I let it sit there for months. Now, this is after 2 hours. Can you see? It is already releasing its fluid. Can you see? The syrup is already forming. And guess what? The onions I was literally pushing down with a spatula is all shrinked. Can you see? The syrup is nicely formed and ready to be consumed. So what I do is when I hear any sign of coughing, I immediately start giving a teaspoon morning, afternoon, and night before bedtime. That is how I administer. That is for the kids. For the adult, I use like the tablespoon, the proper bigger spoon. The sweetening property, is to soothe and calm the throat, while the anti-inflammatory properties in the onions does the magic. So this is basically how this works. You can read up on it. And by the way, some people use honey, but because I am dealing with children, I do not want to take chances. I am very comfortable with using sugar. And please do not give honey to children less than 1 year old. It is not suitable for them. It is not safe for them. Finally, a very important disclaimer. I am not a medical expert. I am not a doctor. I am only sharing a natural homemade remedy that has worked for us. Please remember to subscribe to my channel to help my channel grow. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Yours truly, Princess.